Hey all, and thanks for tuning in for this paranormal pit stop. Tonight, we'll be exploring a sprawling and popular recreation space and nature preserve located around an iconic elevation placed in Berkshire County, Massachusetts, that boasts the title of being the highest point in the state, stretching over 12,000 acres and rumored to harbor a range of paranormal activity and otherworldly phenomenon. Are you prepared to brave the history and hauntings of the Mount Greylock State Reservation? Historically, prior to European arrival, Mount Greylock, which stands as a piece of the Taconic Mountains branching off of the Appalachians, would act as a prominent point amongst tribes native to the region, most notably amongst the Mohican, with a trade route later known as Mohawk Trail and more recently transformed into Route 2, actually cutting the elevation's northern peak to connect tribes of the Hudson and Connecticut River valleys. Through the late 18th century, the mountain would become recognized as Grand Hoosic, during which time much of its surrounding landscape was cleared for agricultural purposes. Into the early 19th century, the landmark would welcome a name change to Saddleback Mountain, which was selected due to its matching appearance, and while it's unknown when the moniker Greylock grew in popularity, some tell the title originated from a chief by the same name, who once resided in the area, and some of its earliest mentionings in reference to the mountain date back to around 1830. Sadly, a good portion of Greylock's landscape would be decimated by way of extensive logging and grazing, coupled with rampant fires, and in 1898, the park expanse was officialized as Massachusetts' first public space for the purpose of its ongoing preservation, which would allow for the natural forestation to heal and regrow over the following century. On June 30th of 1933, the 93-foot-tall Veterans War Memorial Tower was erected and dedicated atop Greylock's summit. From 1933 to 39, the Civilian Conservation Corps would work across reservation grounds to improve upon pre-existing roads and to construct a number of park features, including both the Thunderbolt Ski Trail and Shelter and the Bascom Lodge. And more recently, in 2008 and 2009, the Historic Parkway Rehabilitation Project would see the expanse's road systems completely overturned and would welcome the addition of a number of new viewpoints along what is now a state-designated scenic byway. In the present, Mount Greylock remains open and under the management of the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation, Division of State Parks and Recreation. For those wishing to visit the mountain, roads to Greylock's summit are open seasonally, as weather permits, and through the summer months, Bascom Lodge offers an opportunity to stay a night right at its peak. The reservation also boasts over 70 miles of designated hiking, biking, backpacking, snowmobiling, snowshoeing, and other multi-use trails, 11.5 miles of which actually act as a section of the famed Appalachian National Scenic Trail, and a number of camp spaces are available for the more adventurous, including the Mount Greylock Campground, and 5 other remote trailside shelters that are only accessible by way of hiking in. Through its lengthy usage, the whole of the Mount Greylock region has been steeped in local legends and reports of encounters with the inexplicable, with those frequenting its bounds telling of disembodied voices and whispers heard from high up in trees, of phantom footsteps that follow the living at great lengths that have been known to close in threateningly, and the unnerving feelings of being watched, stalked, touched, or even of being grabbed roughly by a presence unseen. While it's unknown who or what is responsible for phenomenon about Greylock, tales range from sacred native sites or ancient burial plots that were disturbed or utterly desecrated through the deforestation that transpired so long ago, to being the result of the countless restless spirits of those who have perished in wilds near, and other accounts from adventurers have included extreme cold spots felt on hot days, UFO sightings in the skies above, and encounters with a variety of strange creatures, ranging from those featured in native tales to more modern manifestations. Several informal investigations of Greylock have yielded high EMF levels, chilling EVPs that often feature obscure dialects, and orbs and half-formed silhouettes in photography and video, while a handful of researchers have reported their well-maintained and charged equipment failing, or batteries in personal electronics dying out spontaneously. By far the most famous tale associated with Greylock surrounds the Bellows Pipe Trail and intertwines with actual history to tell of a harrowing tragedy, as the story goes, in 1861, North Adams farmer William Saunders would say goodbye to his wife and children and would depart to fight for the Union in the Civil War for a more just America. While Saunders initially kept in communication with his family, he was eventually critically injured, rendering him unable to maintain said line of contact during his recovery. And following 2 years of silence, thinking him dead, his wife would remarry to a man she'd hired to help run the farm in his absence. In 1865, following the conclusion of the war, William would return to his home to find his wife happy in the arms of this new man, and what's more, that none of his family recognized his bearded and weathered face. After watching his former family happily play with this other figure they now called father, a grief-stricken Saunders would make his way into the nearby woods at the base of Greylock, where he would build himself a shack right where the Thunderbolt Trail sits, and would make a living by way of taking odd jobs from the nearby farm, including from his very own, all the while harboring his secret. Sadly, one mid-January morning, a group of hunters would stumble across William's shack and would find him deceased within. After searching for whatever information they could find regarding this mystery man, these hunters would come across documents confirming his identity as William Saunders, and it said that right before their eyes, they watched as a shadowy mass seeped from his lifeless form, before darting into the woodlands it had called home for so many years. To date, it's told William's spirit, more affectionately dubbed the Old Coot and clad in ragged Union garb, remains in the area, and has also been sighted scaling the mountain itself, always in the act of ascending and never descending. While the ghost of William has been encountered at all times of the year, he is most commonly spied through the last 2 weeks of January, just as the night is falling. Thanks for joining us on this paranormal pit stop. If you enjoyed our histories and ghost stories, subscribe to our channel, like this upload, and share us with all of your friends and fam. We'll catch you next time.